Hey guys, this video is going to be a little different than my usual format and my format going forward. I just wanted to kind of talk and get my thoughts out there about AI art and the current situation with it because I haven't done so yet. I feel like as an artist, it's important for me to make statements like this as my platform grows and I gain more of a reach. I want people to understand why we're so upset about this, and I don't think people are getting it. So I'm just gonna talk about just a bit of my disorganized thoughts on the matter. This is basically a breakdown of how I feel about artificial intelligence when it comes to art. I'll be deferring to other videos. Links will be in the description for a more detailed synopsis of what's happening with AI generated art so far. I'm not an expert. Okay, I leave it to the artists who have done hours and hours of research and cite my software engineer girlfriend and editor who has a much deeper grasp on how this kind of technology works. This is just a video based off my own personal thoughts, feelings, and what we should do in the future to prevent the usage of our art from these non-compensating companies. Now, personally, I have some visual mental triggers when it comes to uncanny mangled messes of images. I can't talk. So when apps like Dolly, Dolly 2, and Dolly Mini came out, I had the words muted, people, and any account that's whole purpose was to upload just that blocked. I muted people. Did I handle that well? Not at all, but that, kids, is why you go to therapy. Now, because of this reason, I didn't like AI images, but it was only because I thought it looked a little too strange for me. But I did see the applications for it, such as providing inspiration to artists looking to create landscape paintings, character creations, etc. It wasn't until Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, and Lensa started to rear their heads that I start to think about what this means for me as an artist. Sure, the images weren't freaking my strange hypersensitive brain out anymore, save for those awful abominations of appendages that the generators were calling hands. I mean, what are those? You know what I'm talking about. But they freaked me out for a different reason, and perhaps a more important one, something that therapy just can't fix. I'm an artist, and I'll always be an artist. What messed me up really badly was seeing other artists put side-by-side comparisons on their Tumblr, Twitter, and Instagram accounts of AI posts that looked very similar, almost indistinguishable from their artwork, even down to attempting to replicate watermarks and signatures. Like, I assume the people who are using these sites and buying these apps would stop using them once they realized that these algorithms were trained on stolen art. However, I fail to consider just how powerful the capitalist propaganda was. The runners of these databases swore up and down that this technology was learning how to create artwork, not stealing or trying to replicate. There is currently no artificial intelligence that exists that can create art from scratch based on simple inputs of prompts without first showing you what art is. It'll make something that it perceives to be art because you told it to, but AIs are not human. They can't get sad, feel joy, experience any array of emotion whatsoever, so they try to pass it off as art. They pass off these auto-generated images as art, and it spits in the face of every living person rather. Every living, breathing human being that can just spend months and months and even years to develop their craft, work their way into the professional art industry, freelance or studio hired. And at this point, if you're still with me and you're like, oh, let people have fun, it's just a neat tool, I'd like to bring attention to this post that I saw on Instagram from Radist Art on Instagram. Apologies if I butchered that. I'll link it in the description so you guys can read the whole thing for yourselves and see the artwork that they use in their post. But I'd like to point out this one excerpt that says, after speaking with the CEO of a video game company at a convention recently, it's apparent that AI art is here to stay. He told me that he had already released 2 visual artists since AI art can do their work much faster for less money. Also, just a post from a bit more recently. I wrote the script before finishing this, rather knowing this information. And There's also been a recent series of animated shorts that Netflix Japan has put out that used AI bots to compose every background in the short. They apparently had human artists on board to help touch up the background art, but they did not credit them at the end of the short. They said AI bot plus human, which is absolutely degrading considering that the algorithm for many AI services do not credit the various artists that the algorithm was trained on in the first place. They also say that you can use the bots when you're having a labor shortage. They use this for a labor shortage, but replacing people with bots instead of just paying them fairly and compensating them for their time just feels counterproductive? Backwards even? I don't know. But fast forward, I'll link the article and the tweets about the Netflix Japan situation in the description, but let's take into consideration that we're talking about music. And AI generated music was a hip and happening thing. I truly believe this would have been stopped ASAP. But oh, what's that? These laws and protections already exist for the music industry? Oh wow, that's cool. The reason being that record labels have such an iron grip on copyright law that the music in this video can't even be a song I'm very fond of. It has to be, lo-fi beats to study to. While I hate the mess of a system that the record labels use to get away with not compensating their talent, at the very least, you cannot use the music without express written or verbal consent from the artist or label, or without properly compensating them, like split revenue and whatnot. So why can my artwork be used without my compensation, consent, or even my knowledge? You've heard of the rando first name bunch of numbers in Twitter DMs that tells you, hey man, I need a thumbnail for my YouTube video. And you tell them, sure, that'll be $200 for about 6 to 8 hours of work. And then they tell you to go die because they can't take advantage of you, or they want to go take advantage of someone else who's undervaluing and underselling their artwork for cheaper. And they also think that artwork is just a fun little, oh, the computer does it for you, it's not that hard. And, oh man, can't you just do it for free if you love art? And my favorite, you're gonna get so many followers, man, just trust me and do my thumbnail, only for them to inevitably use your artwork without crediting you if they get the chance. This is also how the NFT craze went as well, where people would DM you and ask you if they could use your artwork to auto-generate shittier versions of the worst picture you've ever seen of your life without paying you anything. But this will help you in the long run because people are gonna see your work while I make the profit. All of these scams at the expense of the artist come and go, and they always have the same tired wash, rinse, and repeat methods to try to rein in impressionable artists and lie and scam them, and lie to and scam non-artists who don't know any better and think it's okay, because why wouldn't it be? This video is getting quite rambly now, and I honestly feel like it's more of an informative vent at this point. But one last thing I feel I need to address because I think it's getting buried under the more mainstream issues. There's this strange culture that's erupted from AI art where the people who have never drawn a day in their lives are now calling themselves full-fledged artists, making accounts and taking commissions based off of stolen work, getting job opportunities, though not for long when the hiring teams find out. But based off these plagiarized works, they're getting these job opportunities and interviews that other artists could have gotten. There's the ArtStation issue, which, if I'm being honest, falls into the mainstream category. You can Google it or use Twitter search bar for ArtStation AI art, and you'll get your answers if you're curious. However, further than that, there's this weird need to throw disabled artists under the bus who work just as hard, if not harder, than able-bodied artists to keep themselves afloat. Well-known disabled story artist Marie Loom, aka Puka Noodles on Twitter, posted about a convention booth full of AI-generated prints on her Twitter back in November, which I'll link in the replies, and pointed out the booth claimed to not be making profit off their prints they were currently selling, or some nonsense that contradicts the reason for being there. Some person quoted her tweet and mocked her bio saying, "Disabled Chinese storyboard artist," in bio explicitly denouncing a tool that makes art universally more acceptable and accessible to disabled individuals. And I cannot tell you how ableist that feels. The assumption that this was ever about accessibility of artwork as someone who threw the disabled community under the bus. There are plenty more replies that are more eloquent than me. I'll be linking the thread below, but I have to point out that one that made me laugh out loud was really accessible way to get disabled artists' work stolen, right? And I'm like, yeah, every time there's an art scam, they use the disabled community as a scapegoat, when a literal army of disabled and able-bodied artists came together to tell them that they're wrong. The facade drops and they say the horrible things that really outline just how much they don't care about the work that any artist does, let alone disabled artists. They just want the pretty picture. There's also an issue with the word where you baby somebody. Disabled artists by saying they need this because they can't do anything by themselves, which is simply not true. Disabled people are very capable, and if you think anyone with chronic pain or a disability drawing art makes their art less valuable than someone who's able-bodied, like, get out of here. This is not about that though. I just wanted to make my stance on that. I hate people using the disabled community as a footstool for their shitty arguments online. While I was typing this up, something else came to my attention. It took so long to put this video out that more AI stories have surfaced, including BuzzFeed laying off a large chunk of their bloggers and quiz makers in order to try and capitalize on ChatGPT and have doing the writing for this billion-dollar company so they can cut back on spending and paying their writers. This has gone far beyond visual art and is coming for other creative fields, horrifying to say the least. If you're still on the fence about AI art because art might be physically taxing and limit you, or you don't quite have the confidence and know-how to create what's in your head on a canvas, or maybe the thought never crossed your mind to draw ever, you just wanted a cute profile image, here are my suggestions for you. Hire an artist to draw for you. You'll get a unique, handcrafted, sweet piece of tasty goodness to share with your friends. You'll be helping out the current and future generation of artists by supporting our craft, helping us further value our time spent in learning the skill. If you currently have an AI-generated profile picture from Lensa or one of those other face apps, you can use the online app Stable Attribution to find the artist responsible for that generation and pay them instead of a soulless company. The link for that will be in the description. 2, if you don't have the money, pick up a drawing tool and go to YouTube and look up videos on how to get started on traditional and digital art. It does take a lot of effort and time to draw, and some people learn slower or faster than others, but you won't know until you try. It's like when you start to cook for yourself for the first time. You've been eating out a lot and you kind of just wanted to try something different. You feel like a god when you can make that poke bowl at home, or you bake your own pizza, or you make burgers better than any other fast food chain you can think of, as you did that. Creation is rewarding in and of itself, and I think that's very important to understand. Having someone else do it for you may save time, but you won't get the satisfaction of saying, I'm capable of doing this. And even if you feel like you're not capable of doing this, supporting someone that you feel deserves your support is extremely important as well. And 3, if you don't have the time and the money to learn, you can either take it slow or ask an artist what they do when they're pressed for time. I know the last one isn't as helpful as a solution, but when you realize the alternative is plagiarism and stealing, I don't know what else to offer you. Realize that visual art is not only a form of artistic expression. Music, storytelling, poetry, even making YouTube commentary videos, they are all immensely valuable. And who knows, a visual artist might be inspired by you and draw you fan art or something. You then need to realize that these things take time and don't happen overnight, and perseverance is key to being a creator. It took me a very long time to post any content onto YouTube, but I kind of persevered through all of my underlying issues between depression, chronic pain. It's not easy and it takes a very long time, but perseverance is key to make sure that we as creatives do not get erased in the future. But if you literally do not care about being a creator and you're an enjoyer of artwork and want to see natural artwork thrive for years and years to come, you can just subscribe to artists' YouTube channels, follow them on social media, even take a step further by donating to their tip jars, subscribing to their Ko-Fi, Patreon, Shot Call, all these other subscription services. Just any subscription service made for creators, and try to help every artist out as a whole. The Concept Art Association is raising money for a lawsuit to fight against AI image generators because they are quite literally a huge sloth of just legal issues that come from scraping the internet of every image and passing it off as something new. I'll link the GoFundMe in the description below. As of writing this script, there are only about 62,001 away from their goal. And I haven't fact-checked this, so please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I believe there actually was a successful lawsuit and the proceedings are underway. I haven't double-checked for sure, but if so, huge victory for creatives. And honestly, if you're having any thoughts about AI generated images have been impacted directly by art theft, or you just think I'm cool or something, I'd love to hear your thoughts about this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the pieces I spoke over today. I'm really proud of them, especially this last one that's going on right now. It took me literal days to finish this, and I'm super proud of it. It's just some Pokemon fan art, but I enjoyed just saying something with this piece that I just love grass type Pokemon. You don't have to say anything compelling or anything that's that serious with your art, but all that matters is that you are saying it and it's coming from your voice. So if you're still on the fence about AI art, or you think that it's just still, after what I've said, a tool, after reading all the descriptions and links, I want you to really consider how artists may feel about this in the future, because it's not just a pretty picture, it's your voice, you know? Anyway, I'm gonna let this all wrap up, and you can enjoy the rest of my time lapse. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, even though it's dying. Twitch, I stream quite frequently. Subscribe to my YouTube if you'd like. And my Tumblr is pretty active now, so check me out there. Links will be in the description and in my channel. Yeah, this is a really weird formatted video, but I think I'm done now. See you later, Stinkies. Enjoy the art.